What's going on with the big homie? Maverick, how you doing, man?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
I'm a gentleman at all times until it's
You gotta see me talking. That's how deep shit is, you know.
We have been the Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now.
This has been the longest month interview.
I've seen very few actual men of God that are actually men of action. Skirt.
Phone.
He knows what's going on.
Welcome to Off the Grid Network. It's your boy, I don't know, Ro, and I am pleased, beyond honored to be here with my brothers, man. This is going to be an incredible day when we're going to be discussing some of the hottest topics, and everybody's going to be doing their thing. You know all these individuals, but we're going to go ahead and still give them the proper introduction that they deserve. First and foremost, the man with the abs, the man with the math, the man that makes sure that he's ahead of his craft every single time that you see him.
Let's go.
He know how to act. This is the king of it all, man.
Let's go.
Come on, Dev, what's going on? Devon.
Yes, sir.
Shout out
What's going
Devon
on, Ro?
True,
What's
man.
going on? We in the building.
Not much, man. And we have the conspiracy analyst, no, the theorist beyond theories, who is able to pinpoint exactly point A to Z and how they still connect in between. You ain't never seen nobody do it like Mav, and you never will again. Ladies and gentlemen, Maverickapproach, what's going on?
What's good? What's good? Glad to be here, man.
Yes, sir.
And
the coincidence specialist.
the
you go.
coincidence specialist.
Yeah.
Now, the great, beloved, enemy of hate.
For sure.
You can't say nothing
For
that's
sure.
fake.
For sure.
On phone now.
Phone now.
BH, what's going on with you,
Y'all already
man?
know. Man, yo, thank you to my boy Ro with such an illustrious introduction. You a legend out here, Ro.
Oh man, I appreciate it. We all legends out here sitting up here, man. This is
Just a bunch of legends.
yeah. You ain't never gonna see it anywhere else like this.
Only one place you can find is Off the Grid. You already know.
That's right, Off the Grid Network. That's
Shout
right
out
here.
to the network.
So we're gonna go ahead and get kicked off with everything. Before we start, we're just gonna go ahead and talk about what's been on your mind during this week. So we're gonna start with you, Dev. What's been on your mind, man?
Man, there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world. That's all.
Death Gang.
Theft game. That's what's been going on. A lot of theft game. But yeah, man, just
Inside jokes is crazy.
yeah, the inside jokes. Is insane. But yeah, man, this is a lot of shit going on in the world. I'm just trying to grasp it and take it all in, man. Pause.
Pause.
Hey.
Hey, I see you locked in. I'm glad you locked in.
Nah.
That was very nice work. Nice work, man.
Mav, what's been going on in your week, man?
Man, just been doing a lot of research, a lot of stuff that's, like you said, has been going on. It's really been interesting this year. It's feel like it's been like 2 years, and with how we talked about it on the last show, how everything transpired at the beginning of the year, it's just been one thing after another, and I think that it's beginning to shape into a new regime as far as America and what we're going into. But we'll touch on all that. But I feel like what's happening with America specifically is something that we haven't seen before. So I just been dissecting all that and kind of putting the pieces together on all these current events and stuff. So
No, absolutely. There's a lot that's been shaken up, and I think some people are a little shaken up when they're watching everything that's going down consistently back to back to back. Oh, snap.
So you telling us to turn off all your phones? Your
That's
phone.
on me.
Come
That's
on.
on me.
I don't know, bro.
That's because
I don't know, bro.
Hey.
No, Ro, pun intended.
Pun intended.
hey, but look, that alarm going off is so that Ro does know. You feel
Yeah,
me?
Now we
that
do,
is.
yeah.
That was my wake-up call from yesterday. I put it on weekly. That was my bad.
There we go. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah. So, BH, what's been going on with you, man, this week?
Oh man, a lot of crazy activity going on as always. I've been in 2 total car accidents in 48 hours. I don't really know what that's about.
Same driver?
One was with my driver, one with my other driver. You feel me? So that's a little suspicious.
But weird out
A lot of interesting information going on. A lot of interesting invitations. But just standing firm, moving vigilant. You know what's going on.
Wait, hold on, real quick, hold on. So we already know that you've been poisoned, right? So that's been confirmed.
Yep. 3 times.
Okay, so now you're talking about not 1 but 2 crashes.
We got the coincidence analyst right here.
I'm just saying. So okay, so
unmarked
what do you-
vehicles. Unmarked vehicles.
So yeah, basically,
was unmarked vehicle.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it. A Maverick and Devon Road. Y'all know my driver EO. You feel me? I was in the car with EO. We in the truck. We parked out front the liquor store, man. A Jeep with tinted windows, no license plate, crashes into the door where I'm parked at. They reverse, then leave. The very next day, I'm in a different car. The same exact thing happened again. They crash into the door I'm parked at. They reverse out and then leave.
And these are unmarked vehicles, right? So he said
No license plate.
no
tinted
license
window.
plate, tinted, and one time, okay, that's just one instance. 2 times, you can call that a coincidence, right? But adding the poison part, okay, now it's a trend. 3 times is a trend.
Yeah, I tested positive for the cyanide 3 times. So I had pneumonia 3 different times. So
And I remember he was really sick.
super sick.
He was
man.
supposed to come to me. We were going to take a trip actually to Florida when I did Tasha K show.
Facts.
And I was like, yo, BH, I need you to come, man. You got to pause. I need you to go with me.
Here we go. Here we go.
Good catch, man. I'm
Nice
always
catch.
on top of it.
Always on point. Always on point.
Staying
But
locked
I'll need
in.
you to travel with me
Yeah.
to Florida. And then he's like, man, I couldn't go, man. I was just so sick. And I remember that. I was like, damn. I was like, what's going on?
I was sick for 19 days.
Yep. 19
days. I'm talking like debilitating sick, bro. And anybody know if you call upon me, I believe in rising to the occasion. I don't like to lead none of my homies nowhere if they call upon me. I was just too sick. I couldn't make it. And
Right.
Yeah. Which was another weird thing, too. I'll bring that up real quick. So I did Tasha K's show. And I did the show. She flew me out there and everything else. It was very odd, though, that she didn't release the footage.
Now, mind you, I had got invited to do that show before, and I had talked it over with Mav, and we said, we're going to go together. So when it was time for us to go together, I couldn't make it that time. She did a whole full 2-hour interview with Maverick, didn't drop the interview.
To this day, never released.
Never
released.
it.
No explanation.
Yeah, and I did that back in November, right? So we were talking about Meg Thee Stallion. We were talking about a lot of touchy subjects, which she does like press the line. I'm like, okay, cool. This is the perfect platform to do so. But she never released it. So I'm
Very
thinking that somebody got to
mysterious.
her.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, because I mean, you know the whole story with like Tory and everything else.
Of course.
Because I have my suspicions on why he's really in jail.
Break it down.
Let's talk about it
I got
here. Let's talk about it
on
here.
that too, and
Okay.
I want to hear what you got on it.
Yeah.
Or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Okay, so my suspicions of it that night, what occurred when they were all around each other, they left with Kylie Jenner, and Kylie's bodyguard is the one that I'm hearing stories is the one that shot Meg instead of Tory. And that happened because Meg was running up on Kylie, wasn't running up on Tory. And when that incident happened, Tory took the fall for the Kardashian family. Still, everybody's blackout drunk in the car. They're still fighting over the gun. This is what I've heard from several people in that industry.
Right.
What have you heard on it?
So he recently did an interview, Tory. And he states that there is not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 DNAs on that weapon. Okay? He said it was a male, a female, another female, and another male. None of those are his. So here's how it happened. Here's how they railroaded him. So basically, that story, I've heard that too, what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay. So why is it that a bodyguard that was supposed to testify disappears during trial time? Remember that?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then
Definitely.
after the trial, the guy comes back. Nobody finds that suspicious at all,
Highly suspicious.
right? That's one thing. So he's saying that this testing is inconclusive because the way they tested the gun, it wasn't fully all the way tested. So he explains it like this. When they test DNA on the weapon, it was about 70 to 75% done. Then they stopped the testing and said, oh, that's good enough. Everything else, you know, we'll go by this evidence and now you're guilty. He says the testing was inconclusive. The DNA wasn't his. And then also the judge themselves said on record, you could look this up, said the DNA doesn't matter. We know you did it. You're going to jail anyway.
The judge said
The
that.
judge said that. He said, he goes on record, because everything's public record. We're
Right.
saying DNA. He was like, yo, what kind of court system are we in where DNA doesn't matter? But here's why he's in jail. I explained this to many, many people. He cracked the code when it comes. He even says this in his album. He
Break it
cracked-
down. Break it
cracked
down. The
the
coincidence
code.
specialist.
Yeah.
He's heating up.
He's heating up. He's on fire.
So Tory cracked the code with his NFT album where he made $1 million in a minute. Okay? That circumvents the entire music industry. That circumvents all the middlemen. What that does is it places the power back in the artist's hands.
Right.
And then all those people who bought those albums for $1 were flipping those NFT albums for $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a piece. Now, I know Tory personally. I was working with him personally before he went to jail. He showed me all the data, the on-chain data, because it's all blockchain. Everything on blockchain, he was showing me in real time. He was like, look, I really made this, right? So then after that, then he tells Roc Nation, because they wanted to sign him, no, I'm not signing to you. Don't need you. Now, all of a sudden, he gets into all this mess. The DNA isn't his, and now he's in jail.
All behind the hands of an action of somebody that's under Roc Nation at the same time.
This is also why we've seen his father campaigning extremely hard outside of the court hearings, showing his disdain for Roc Nation and for Jay-Z. He felt like there was a conspiracy involved with removing Tory from the music landscape. And, you know, when I see his situation, I think about Drake's lawsuit against UMG.
Talk about it.
And he won that lawsuit, by the way.
Who did?
Drake won.
He won?
When he's by suing about what happened with him and Kendrick, he won.
I thought it was still inconclusive, so they finalized it.
Pull it up. Can we fact check this?
Yeah.
I'll pull it up.
So here's the thing about Drake, too, and going into the music industry, and we always talk about this, too. What do we say? I think Drake won.
Oh, the battle?
The battle. He won
definitely
the battle. And it's an unpopular opinion. Like, nobody really likes that opinion, but I think he won on the pretenses of what Kendrick did. And that's the thing. Kendrick, he's in cahoots with...
The same things that UMG did for Kendrick, they did for Drake before.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. So the Meek Mill beef, it mirrors a lot of it. When you see Meek Mill and Drake going at it, that one, Meek Mill won it because his whole thing was just to expose the involvement Drake has. He was like, I'm not worried about the bars. I'm not worried about the sales. This is what's going on. It was true. It came into light. They pushed Drake and back-to-back blew up. Now, when we go forward and listen to the Kendrick Lamar's tapes, where you hear him on songs like 616 in LA, and he's like, you trying to find out who's working for you. Have you ever thought that OVO's working for me?
Hello.
And I was like, that was UMG he's talking about. Like it's like we've got UMG working against you right now. It has nothing to do with any of these rappers. It don't got nothing to do with these little men or any of the middlemen that are in between us. This is the main people telling me how to get you out.
Facts.
And
That's how I took it.
This is the same thing that the public did to Michael Jackson. And this is why I think Drake won, because calling him a pedo without hard evidence and just throwing out accusations, that's the same thing they did to Michael Jackson. Now, the parallel with Michael Jackson and Drake, get this. So when Michael Jackson bought that catalog from Sony ATV in 1988, it's the biggest deal of that time, right? Paid it cash. He owns the Beatles. He owns future artists like Beyonce and Eminem. He owned a lot, right? A couple years later, then what happens?
Break it down.
Oh, he gets hit with cases.
Bingo.
Oh, okay. That's funny.
Bingo.
So it's the same thing that Drake was in a battle with UMG about his masters, that $400 million deal, the biggest artist on earth, getting out of that, and then now we get hit with this.
Anytime somebody goes at odds with somebody behind the scenes, they end up going down some kind of way.
Yeah, because Lucien Grange, nobody remembers this, but
Except for me.
Oh yeah,
Let's go ahead and make that 100%. Very clear, because I'm gonna tell you something. Maverick and Devon, they know about things that took place behind the scenes. And when they seen me say certain things, they said, wait a second, all right, he knows.
Yeah.
Now, there's certain people who they put me on the phone with that are very, very high places who have confirmed some things that I said. So, you know,
sure.
I'm not going to elaborate on those things. I'm not going to expound right now. But I just want to throw that out there before Maverick get the cooking, for sure.
oh yeah, for sure. I'll vouch for that.
Because here's what I was going to say. Because in comparison, like you said, Michael Jackson to Drake, there's some points of evidence with the Drake accusations where, you know, of course, not the light work of Millie Bobby Brown or the girl that was on stage. There's some...
The girl he talking about, he kissed in Denver, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's another thing too. In the state of Colorado, the consenting age is 17. That girl was 17. I'm not weird. Yes.
Definitely weird.
Illegal? No.
Agent
And the dad
22
was there.
accusation.
Yeah, and the dad was there. Now, also, Drake had a residency at XS here in Las Vegas. So he was supposed to appear multiple times. Now, the legal age of consent in Las Vegas is 16. Still weird. But
Weird, yes.
that's the law in Las Vegas. I don't fuck with that. But
Right.
just
Anything
saying,
with team behind it.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
weird.
like, I'm
so,
good.
So they said that there were...
For real.
Look, anything with team behind it,
I'm straight.
I'm hands off.
Yeah, please, man. And
If you
that's,
hands on, you bogus as hell. Phone on the guy.
So that's why it was a known thing that they were talking about. I remember there was a time that I went out to a hookah lounge out here, and Tyga came with Kylie Jenner, and they put an Amber Alert out for Kylie Jenner. I don't know if you guys remember. You guys remember that?
Amber Alert is
They had a whole
crazy.
Amber Alert for Kylie Jenner, and I remember everybody
insane.
looking at their phones like, "What are you talking about?"
They supposed to get up and whoop Tiger out his sandals.
He came to Vegas where it was the legal age of consent.
Oh, that's the
So
Adam
she was
22 law.
16. So they
Adam 22.
That's the Adam 22 law.
they drove out over
Hey,
state
you
line.
boys who out here just because it's got hair on it, y'all think it's free game. Y'all wild as hell. And I'm gonna tell everybody something, man. You know, everybody reports to me, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, if you somebody and the world know that what I do, you know, they come and volunteer the dirt on you. So I got a file full right now. It's a guy right now who played for the Las Vegas Raiders who, you know, recently he had a little car accident, and when EMTs pulled up, he was with an underage lady. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna go ahead and say this right now, man. Go ahead.
He played for the
just
Raiders
listen.
right now?
He played for the Raiders right now. So look, before I gotta come deal with you, go ahead and just lead the team, man. Go ahead and listen, cause it's coming. I got the documentation. I got the footage. So, you know, I'm gonna address it. I'm gonna push up on you. So this your opportunity right now. Go ahead and flee the scene, player.
How underage are we talking?
We talking about a 16-year-old, a person who just turned 16 as of last month.
that's
But
wild.
yeah,
That gets
bro.
spooky. I mean,
That's
the
wild.
consenting age, you said 16, still weird, still spooky. Yeah, I don't.
So that's why I'm saying, like, you know, these guys know. For example, like Las Vegas, why is at the age in Nevada, and then people can come out here and
what's the obsession with kids? Because here's my whole
Exactly.
thing
Weird.
right now. I'm upset about all of this simply because, bro, there is some form of infatuation with minors from people in positions of power. What's even more concerning is you start bringing up all of these conspiracy topics, which actually turn into much more than conspiracy. You look at these ancient civilizations, all of them partook in child sacrifice.
Thank you.
Why is that?
I think a lot of it gets away the way that it does because of the gray areas that are painted over it, where it's a thin gray line that the thicker you make that gray line, the more confusing it is for people to argue about it instead of just being cut dry. Like, yo, like you said, anything with a team behind it, yo,
right,
that's out.
It's out.
We ain't rock with nobody like that.
Not at all.
right.
So my bad. I want you to go ahead and continue what you were saying with
No,
the Drake
that's a
thing.
great point. I mean, going back to the point of the age of consent here and whatnot. Vegas is the biggest trafficking hub in America,
Yes.
or one of them.
It's the biggest.
I would say besides here is probably Hawaii. That's a big one too. And who has a lot of homes in Hawaii? A lot of the elites have homes there.
Yeah.
You have Oprah. You have Zuckerberg. You have who else is there? I mean, a ton of people. All the billionaires, they all have homes there, and none of their homes got burnt up in the fires over there.
Nope.
Very weird.
But they want to speak out on it.
Right. I mean, they all had the blue tops on it. You know, like
Yeah.
you heard about like the blue light, the blue beams, and all that stuff. So like if you look at all their homes, they have all that blue because the blue laser that they were using, allegedly, I'll say allegedly.
This is all alleged for everybody tuning in. And
Yeah,
off
every
the
single
grid.
thing we said, alleged.
Yeah. So the laser allegedly that, you know, burns things, it reflects off of blue, but it burns everything else. And there's video of this too. Like there's video tests that shows where the blue light reflects and everything else gets burnt up.
It's interesting.
So that's why
man.
they have the blue tops on top of the houses. So
So when you look at points on a grid, like for example, the color scheme, they've talked about for years how they wanted to weaponize lasers, and it's just by high frequencies, and each color has a different frequency range, and that's why I
Right.
think that the blue is able to reflect it and bounce off of it, depending on the light system that they're utilizing for it. When you're doing anything like editing in cameras, there's a lot of times that you see blue is in almost everything.
Really?
You see red is in red isn't as frequent. So like if you eliminate the blue in a video that you're looking at, you basically got almost nothing left. So I think it's a very interesting way just to dive down that hole of what lights they're trying to make sure to emit out of that.
damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
interesting.
you in production, so that's one thing I didn't know. That's crazy though.
So,
that makes sense though.
So tying that in, going hand in hand with what you said with Las Vegas and trafficking, a lot of stories have started to come up now that they believe that there's a tunnel for the Adventure Dome, allegedly, where there's people who are going missing underneath that tunnel for the Adventure Dome. And that's children, that's different people of different ages, that's homeless, that's junkies. But the dome is covered by a fluorescent pink beam around it, this whole dome. I wonder what purpose that would serve in regards to anything that gets picked up with light reflection.
Interesting.
Basically, I'll say this. You know, the universe is built on three principles: sound, light, and frequency. With the right sound, with the right light, the right frequency, things can get revealed or hidden. And there's a gentleman by the name of Danny Goller. Danny Goller is experimenting with lasers on a certain frequency. And he's pretty much decided that after his hours of research, he feels like he's discovered the source code to this hyper-realistic simulation that we allegedly may live in. Is there any way we can pull that up?
Yeah, I just pulled him up right now. He's from Moscow. He lived in Israel for 17 years. He's a filmmaker, so he also knows a background
There
with
you
the
go.
lights. Yeah.
See?
And what's interesting
Damn.
about this gentleman is he experiments with DMT. If you're not familiar with DMT is a experimental gateway to the psychedelic, which a lot of people feel like opens up the brain to see the world in a different dimension. The problem is with this, he's taken over 1,000 different people. They experiment with the DMT. He cuts on his laser with his frequency that he's discovered, and they're all seeing the same thing. Is it a hallucination if everyone's seeing the same thing? It is not.
No,
And what is it that he's seeing? He's seeing some sort of source code of numerals, ones and zeros that look like computer code.
like binary code.
Looks like binary code within the fabric of our existence. How is this possible?
That's how the universe is made up. Ones and zeros. Like that's how you measure time, space, anything. If you think about it, like it's all numbers. Like even like how you going back to the colors.
Yeah.
So there's code. Like when you like adjust in a I want to say like in videography, you adjust the code or you adjust the colors. There's different, or even coding with like computers. There's different codes that you use to change the colors.
Correct. Yeah.
1, 0s, this, that, and it'll be like green, blue. Like they have codes to them. So
Is it possible we could pull up a snippet of that of Danny Garler on the screen? Because
We can add it in later on.
bet.
In post,
Yeah. Because when people see this, this adds to the credence to Professor Jim Gates saying, in his studies of equations that revolve around supersymmetry, he's finding error correcting codes.
Say that again. Error correcting codes.
Professor Jim Gates has been running a sequence of equations related to supersymmetry, which is a part of quantum physics. He's going through these different equations in order to try to figure out, time, space, and what it is where we live. Professor Jim Gates has discovered error correcting codes in the fabric of our universe that we live in, which is going to be a series of ones and zeros. Same thing Danny Garler has discovered in his DMT experiments using a certain laser at a certain frequency. Why is Professor Jim Gates finding error correcting codes in these equations for supersymmetry, which is just mapping our environment that we live in? Why is he finding that? We're talking about the most brilliant minds in science. They're discovering things, have them questioning their own reality. He asked himself, he said, am I living in some type of advanced organism's computer program?
For sure. I think so.
That kind of goes back to what the whistleblower said. What was dude's name? Matthew Brown. The whistleblower that came out a couple of days ago, basically saying that he worked in the Pentagon, and he said that he was going through some files and
yeah, he was saying that basically he worked at the Pentagon and he saw files that he wasn't supposed to like actually see. He wasn't supposed to see any of this because there's different clearances that you have, right? So he said he stumbled upon these files and he was saying that he saw a large triangular ship that was hovering above these war crafts, these Russian warships. They weren't alarmed. They weren't scared. They didn't fire on them. They were just sitting there, almost like they were waiting for him, like it was like a meeting or something. And he was like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what's going on. I found it really interesting, though, that the ship that is triangular that he saw, there is a patent for a propulsion, like a anti-gravitic propulsion triangular ship. You can look this up on Google Patents. This is a U.S. patent for this technology, and it's triangular shaped.
That's interesting because it goes with what is his name? Bob Lazar, who is discussing when he was working at the secret facility
called S4.
Yeah, so he was saying the way that they were able to travel as fast as they were is that they were manipulating gravity. It wasn't a power source. It was just the gravitational manipulation that was going hand in hand with that. Another point that I wanted to say, you know, we constantly talk about how you will see Hollywood expose and kind of give you hints of what's going on. So that way it'll ping your mind the moment that you see it. Like, oh, well, that's just from that movie. And so Black Mirror came out with a new episode this season. I don't know if you guys seen it.
Man, that's a great season. This is probably the best season
in a while.
Hands down, man.
Yo, this is the best season.
So, okay, so you remember the episode Plaything where he was listening, he was on acid, and the guy's a video game developer.
What was the game? What was it?
The Throngs.
The Throngs.
Yeah. So he's listening to the Throngs, and what did he do? He made a code. He made a code for them, just even written out, putting the code on the screen, was able to go through the system. So talking about this binary code, talking about ways to eliminate errors, you've got the same kind of things being depicted in the sense of how they handle the Throngs, that they were just replications inside of a video game that still went by a code that was able to be deciphered. And you were able to depict exactly what they meant, and they still had a message, and they knew how to control even from inside the system that they were in.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's crazy because we were just actually talking about this earlier. Black Mirror. What do we stare into all day? A Black Mirror.
Okay? When he says Black Mirror, he's referring to
your phone.
That's a Black right Mirror. There.
Okay. What's on the back of that Black Mirror? A bitten apple. What does that symbolize?
The forbidden fruit of knowledge.
Exactly. The downfall of man, right? So are they showing us that these technologies that we're using, is it the downfall of man? Because think about it, social media, computers, and all this other stuff, it's a tool, but at the same time, how we used it, are we going in a direction to where is it going to benefit us in the long run or destroy us? Because we have AI now and everything else, right?
True.
We're too dependent.
And
it's getting worse.
Yeah. Like Gen Z right now, their social skills are shot. They can't speak for shit.
Yeah.
You can't hold a conversation. When they pick up a phone, they're a completely different person. It's weird.
Yeah.
Right?
They say 70% of males in Gen Z have never asked a girl out for a number in person.
What's your Instagram?
Yep. Yeah, what's your gram? What's your grandma? But here's the thing too. So a lot of them now, Gen Z, not only their social skills are shot, they're aging worse because of the blue light, right? So it causes oxidative stress to your skin, the blue light. So they've been exposed a lot longer than us. I'm a millennial. So like we're still analog. We're that hybrid type of analog, but now we're digital. They're completely exposed to it. They had a lot longer exposure to blue light. They're vaping. They're doing all these things that, you know, are just stress. Like they're worrying about. Because here's the thing too: social media. It's a false reality that's put upon them to be successful, to be good looking. Even though we got all these fucking filters, like nobody looks like that, right? So it's doing something to their psyche and it's stressing them out to where they're aging worse, they're stressing more and everything else. So it's like, is this a good thing when we're talking about technology and social media and everything else, right? So again, with technology, are we going in a direction to where it's benefiting humanity or taking away?
I think it's interesting that you say that, because one of the coincidences I was looking into that you can see is the generational gap. So like there'll be one generation, for example, like before us, you got Generation X. before the millennials, and then you got Gen Z, and then you got Generation Alpha. So Gen X and Gen Z are very connected.
Because that's their kids.
Well, we're also part of the kids of the Gen X, but for some reason, when they have that gap, they connect a lot more on how they think and how they talk, and that they can understand and respect each other a lot more. Whereas millennials, we're not really connecting with anybody in Gen Z or Generation X as much. We understand it because we're in the middle. We're the bridge, right. But we will connect more with Generation Alpha in the sense of like, for example, I got 2 kids and one of my kids is in Generation Alpha.
Okay.
When I discuss with him, there's some things that like he just picks up immediately. He's like,
instantaneous.
Makes perfect sense to me. And it's just like, that's crazy. And it's like, you know, my other son, he still connects and he still understands, but like it takes different examples. Like, okay, like, you know, it's kind of like this, and I don't got to do certain examples with Generation Alpha where I'm like, yeah, it's just this. And they're like, okay, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
I completely get it. So going hand in hand with that, we are connecting as millennials with the people that were before Generation X, the baby boomers.
Right.
A lot of their questioning that they had on society, what was going on, to look deeper into messages, we connect with them more than Generation X did, the rebellious ones, who was the bigger bad. They were the 80s. The 80s was the rebellion, and then the 90s was trying to beat it, just being the bigger, badder 80s. That's why everything that was pushed out to us in advertisement was bigger, better, badder, stronger, sexier, whatever.
That's the generation, Gen X is like the MTV generation.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So like we came to rebel against it and be able to find humility and love and just reality. Whereas you've got the other people connecting to Gen X that still want the bigger, badder rebellion. So that's why you've got Gen Z caught up on the same parallel that Generation X was on, and that's why they relate so much.
That's interesting.
And it seems like, with that being said, it seems like we about to see a group of people that's going to be left out in the cold, because we got the onset of AI, we got these different generations. Either you get it or you don't. And then who saw what Kratio said? Trump's science guy who runs the science and tech part of his administration. You seen what he said?
What did he say?
He said, our government has the technology to warp time and space.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
So what does this mean?
That goes into
This
what?
means
Go ahead.
maybe, you know, the whole Mandela effect thing.
Which is real.
It's real.
It's real.
Maybe somebody set that up.
That cornucopia did not exist on the original.
It didn't, man.
Yeah. So they took it off from the Fruit of the Loom, the cornucopia that was sitting in the back. The Tinkerbell from Disney, where it does the ding right in the beginning of it, they said it never happened. And they keep attacking us to gaslight us. And I think it's to the point where they want us to doubt ourselves.
They want a group of people to take themselves out the game. That's what they want, because we don't see any governments urging people to reskill themselves. The only person I see telling anybody to reskill is the Maverickapproach. The onset of AI is going to make the middle class extremely expendable. Then you got people like Kratio saying we have the technology to warp time and space. Then we see Ben Rich, the guy from Lockheed, saying we have the technology to take ET home.
And you know why he said the time and space thing? Because a lot of people don't know, going back in time to Nikola Tesla. So when he died broke, right? He had all these inventions and all these findings, discovered free energy. But Edison took all his findings and monetized them, right? How did they do that? Well, they hired Donald Trump's uncle, John Trump, to go in, because he was a physicist and he was an engineer as well. He's the only one that understood all his findings and works. They're like, go in there and see what we can find. Goes in there, comes back. We didn't find nothing. It's a bunch of bull, BS. But all of a sudden, we did this quantum leap into technology right after. You know, we went to the moon and everything else not too long after. It's like, wait, hold up. Like, and that's the thing. Like, BH, we said it earlier. what you saw on the moon landing wasn't what happened. Like, we did go to the moon, but it wasn't what they
That wasn't what was
on TV.
documented.
No.
And we'll put this in the footage. We'll show how Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong and the rest of the Apollo 18 staff, how they looked at their press conference. They looked pretty dejected.
They saw something for sure. They saw something that they didn't want to see. Again, going back to the movies, they just put out a movie called Fly Me to the Moon. Fly Me to the Moon depicts this very thing. In that movie, it shows that, hey, we're going to stage this, okay? But at the same time, in tandem, we're going to actually go to the moon. Now, if we don't get there or something happens, we're not going to air that because we have this keep safe version of it. So that's what they did. So I really believe that they did that. So something happened to where they got on that moon, they saw something they didn't like, and came back.
What's crazy with that too is a lot of people didn't ask enough questions during that time frame for the moon landing because it's just like, okay, so who was filming them landing?
Right. How'd they get the footage back to Earth?
Right. How'd they shoot that over when we don't got satellites out there yet?
How does the Universal logo show Earth when we didn't have any pictures or examples of Earth before then?
Exact. Good point.
So the logo wasn't shown until I believe it was 1912, 1913, around that time. But we didn't get a full picture of the Earth until 1946.
30-year gap.
I wanted to ask you, talking about Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
How do you remember him dying? From what you've heard.
I heard he was ill, like very ill. And I've got word from an actual CIA psychic that I got in touch with not too long ago. Her grandfather worked closely with Tesla. Okay. And she told me all this. She told me that he was very ill and, got sick and died. So that's what the story I got.
So we've heard stories about an illness.
Mm-hmm.
It switched. Before that, it was he died getting ran over by a car crossing the street.
It's funny how people get ran over by cars all the time, right, BH? Like
right.
when people
we see this a lot.
Tend to be talking or doing something, they just get hit by cars.
Sergeant Carl Wolf, who reached out to us for security, who told us about his job at the Pentagon to edit photos that NASA took, and he the one told us. He told me it's some people who live on the ocean's floor. He died from getting ran over by a car.
You see, so
you know who else died by a car too? Remember that ship that capsized with that billionaire on it?
Yes.
Okay, so his VP, right before that ship capsized, his VP gets hit by a car and dies a few days before. Just saying.
Look, you are just catching the coincidences.
Right. I was supposed to go on Piers Morgan on Monday at 9:45 in the morning, and as I'm getting my Goulet, we're getting the car crash. So
yeah, he was supposed to go on to Piers Morgan.
That was for Piers Morgan
on Monday.
He was headed there, and then that's when the crash happened.
So they to go also back to Nikola Tesla, with the Trump thing, there was a discussion. There was a book that came out. I can't remember the name of the book right now off the top of my head, but it talked about someone who time traveled to make sure their family had success.
Are we talking about Barron Trump?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Ingersoll Lockwood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wrote 2 books. Well, he wrote many books, but 2 books that stand out. One is called The Last President, and the other one is called Barron Trump's Marvelous Adventures.
That's correct. That's the one I was talking about. Barron Trump's Marvelous Adventures.
Yeah. Or Marvelous Journey, one of those, Journey, or Marvelous Journey, I think it is.
So if you got these books that are depicting how someone can time travel, and even currently there's laws in particular countries saying that it's against the law to travel through time. Why are there laws against time travel if it doesn't exist?
Right.
Why are there laws against human cloning if it don't exist?
Why is there laws against killing Sasquatch if he doesn't exist?
Let's get to it.
DogMan 2? Should we bring up DogMan 2? Should we talk about
DogMan? Come on. I want to talk more about DogMan actually. Now that we
Look, man,
we got this chance because I've been seeing you guys discussing about DogMan, and I just wanted to know more about it because I think it's again another coincidence. You guys come out with the book DogMan and the movie DogMan, so you can look up DogMan, and when you do, you see the cartoon. You're not able to see the actual video footage of this cryptid.
And there is video
did you see
footage.
the video? There's a video.
The guy on Facebook.
It was in 2020.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all know it's 2020.
Yeah, that person I've been in contact with.
Oh, the dude in the video?
Yeah, her name's ShaqandKobe. Yeah, so I'm going down to go talk to this person. ShaqandKobe Legacy sent me the photos, showed me a pretty compelling video. There's a website called North American Dogman Project. They got a whole map of hot spots. They got footprints. They got thousands of confirmed sightings, witness testimonials. And, I got the footage right here.
That's the video I seen. That's crazy.
This person lived down in Texas. I got on the phone call with him, and the footage that he has is very compelling.
Yeah,
there's no way that little guy has the resources to manufacture or falsely create digitally with AI or anything like that.
I think he went live too. I think that was live.
It was a
For
live
the people that don't know, what is it, if you guys can describe, that they're going to see on this video?
In this video, you're going to see something that looks like a lichen off the movie Underworld running very fast past this person's camera.
In their backyard.
In their backyard at their home, yes.
Yeah, it looks like a huge dog upright, though. It's like,
on two legs.
Yeah, it looks crazy.
That's crazy.
We make sure y'all get all the footage, man.
But here's the thing. Again, what he just mentioned. Underworld, right? A movie. They always put it in the movies. I always go back to the movies because it seems like every time they put something in movies, later on, it happens.
Now it's happening even faster though.
It is.
So like that movie, what's that movie on Hulu? Where the Paradise, where they're talking about underground cities, and the whistleblower. Actually, the who was the woman that came out and said there was $21 trillion missing?
Yeah.
And there's over 170 underground cities built.
Yeah.
And she works.
Yeah, she used to work for the Bush administration. She was a Bush official. She said between 1998 and 2015, $21 trillion went missing. And she said,
"Let me have stole that $21 trillion."
Goulet for everybody.
Goulet for Earth, for everybody.
For the Earth. Out of control, man.
Yeah, she said that I think this is part of the black budget because there's a black budget that the government has. I've even been told by government officials there is a black budget that's off the books. So they use these nefarious funds for other things. And she said that there is underground civilizations, not only underground, but underwater as well. Like underwater around the circumference of America.
Makes sense.
And what they're building them for, we don't know. Why? How many there are? She said her estimate is 170 based on her 2-year research. So she says that the elites are using these bunkers for maybe a fallout of some sort. Extinction level events.
We got several volcanoes on the Earth that are primed to erupt. There's a period in history where, civilization said, the sun didn't shine for a period of time. That's because of volcanic eruption.
So exactly, like when we're talking about like the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs, we hear about it all the time. I got a bunch of questions with that. Like, okay, so if it wiped out all life because of the dust cloud, how we come back? That don't make any sense. Every single thing couldn't have died. Did things die? I believe different creatures died, different plants died. That's how we got different extinctions, but different creatures that went into extinction. But going further, I believe that there was still civilization that was able to live underground and live underwater. That's how we got different hybrids and different forms of how we lived.
Exactly.
And another key piece with that is portals that are in the water, like the Bermuda Triangle. I think is a hot spot that is just so much travel that went in that area. It picked up on everybody's radar to pay attention to it. But I think that there still are other portals that transport because of the way that it can bend space and time, like what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So focusing on being underwater, and they say that we know more about space than we do underwater. Why is that? Because there's a lot of bases that they got underwater for protection. That's their backup plan.
Right.
Everything's
that's what
underwater.
they're telling us, right? They're telling us it's mostly undiscovered, but they just don't want us looking down there. That's the main thing, because they have bases.
Is it they don't want us looking down there, or they told, hey, stay y'all ass from over here?
Yeah.
Because Buzz Aldrin said we got shooed away from the moon. Neil Armstrong said the same thing. So, you know,
They destroyed the footage. They destroyed the crash for it. You can't go back to the moon based on how they made it.
And we have more computing power in this phone than that whole mission did. So you explain that to me. And that's the thing, man. Like they're telling us a lot of bullshit, and people just accept it. But now people are asking these questions.
That's why you got to come off the grid to get the answers.
Exactly. you gotta start asking these questions, man. Because that's the thing. Like when it comes to all these things that they've been telling us and put in the history books, it's like, well, that's not true. That's not true. You start adding things up, and it's like, nah, that can't be right. And here's another thing. Going back to the dinosaurs too. Here's a wild theory right here. What if they got destroyed, right? The dinosaurs, but a few of them maybe de-evolved, or maybe some of them stayed around, went underground to survive. Now, dinosaurs are what? Just big lizards, right?
Right.
Now, what do we talk about? Who's running things, quote unquote? Lizards. Reptilians. Okay. So now, what if they stuck around this whole time? Now we're basically food for them. That's why they're keeping us around and everything else, because there's a lot of theories. I don't know where that theory came from, but that's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me. It's like, okay, if you have these big ass lizards running around, like what if they're just like descendants of those people because they were here first?
So 2 points to go with that. One, the Mario Brothers movie.
Yes, man.
The old one.
Original.
You remember that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
What did they talk about in there?
The lizard people.
Yeah. They were living underground.
Yes.
Subterranean.
They were all subterranean. And his whole thing was to make everybody de-evolve.
Right.
That was his whole thing. He said, we've evolved to this point.
Okay, so it's funny you say that, because the whistleblower, Matthew Brown, just said it's disheartening, the shit that he found out, because he basically found out that we've been left behind. Like, technology-wise, evolved, they've just pretty much...
They just left us
us in the dust.
Yeah, like everything has gotten so advanced with technology. They just kind of just left us in the dust, and whatever this is, Earth, we want to say, it's like a project, and it's just like, okay, well, let them do their thing over there. But let him tell it. Even the government is not even in control of themselves.
They're not. The Israeli space chief, the one said it first. This the thing. I just sent you a link, Ro.
I just seen it, yeah.
That's artwork that depicts humans on the alongside dinosaurs before we even knew they existed. How is that possible? And all of these brilliant people that we have, and us as a species, we aren't able to solve simple problems that contribute to the human condition. Very suspicious to me. We expect our peers to be able to keep a grasp on artificial intelligence when we can't work together as a group to protect and preserve the only place that we have to live as a species. Very suspicious to me. Oftentimes we see people in legislative positions and authoritative places, they make decisions that aren't exactly conducive to the growth of humanity. I don't think that everybody that we look and see and walk around and are in positions of power, I just cannot believe that they've been able to keep this great divide so controlled on their own. Human beings leak information. We rebel. Throughout history, there's always that group of guys who decide to say, you know what, this is not right. We're willing to die or kill about it. It's no way that all of these people are typical flesh and blood human beings, because there are groups of us who feel like they deserve to have rule and dominion over others. And if they believe we all equals, how could that be?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys heard, they said like in the 1800s, prior to the 1800s when they started to ravage and start grave digging in Egypt, they said prior to that time frame, when everybody got caught up on archaeology, dinosaurs were called dragons.
Exactly.
That's how the world agreed to call them. They were dragons.
Exactly.
Right? And now, dragons didn't exist. Everything's rewritten in how it's said. And it's funny because we've all seen the memes that were going on just within the last few weeks, where they were talking about 100 men versus a gorilla who would win.
I said talking about everywhere, bro.
I said that's so
gorilla.
stupid. I said, you don't think 100 men will beat a gorilla? How are they in the zoo?
Right. Who started this?
Right. It took 20 people to get one gorilla in the zoo. We already got that answer.
Right.
But if we
foolishness,
we were taking out and murdering dinosaurs. We were killing dragons. They found mammoths with spear holes inside of them.
We outcompeted and we out-raped and murdered the Neanderthal.
It's sick, but that's the world, man.
It's a fact.
But even dinosaurs, like dinosaur bones in museums aren't real, right?
Yeah.
They're all falsified because they're saying to protect the real bones, we place them somewhere else. How do we know what those bones actually look like?
I mean, you listen to the word fossils, it sounds false. But we're going to get ready to close out, man. It's been an exciting episode on
already?
Off the Grid, man. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So everybody,
nice little warm up.
Man, they're going to be ready to keep coming in for more. So, guys, closing thoughts. Let's go around the room. We're going to start with you, BH, man.
Where do we find ourselves as a species if we're unable to police ourselves, educate ourselves, and to usher in a safe generation for the youth? Us as a people, we must be able to open our eyes and expand our insight in order to save ourselves as a species and to save our ideals. I'm going to leave it at that.
Well said.
Yeah.
I'll piggyback off of that. In order to understand where we're going, you have to understand where we've been. So I think that looking into the past, how we did a deep dive on kind of what happened in the past and what they've been telling us versus what we're discovering, we have to unlearn and relearn a lot of things because we've been in an indoctrinated system when it comes to the school system and everything else. It's a bunch of lies that they told us. So I think that reskilling and unlearning and relearning is what we need to do because we're entering a new era. So,
question everything. Devon True, I'm out.
Oh, no.
And I want to just close with saying, man, for everybody that thinks whatever dark corners that they're hiding in the world, that silence comes after murdering someone, you're highly wrong because that's where you project the voice even louder. These individuals in this world that are speaking out, that are saying what they've understood and what they've picked up on, they're not alone, and there's a lot of others that are speaking the same thing, and the more you guys keep doing that, the more people are going to keep talking. I think it's up to us to just preserve all the knowledge that we have by just spreading it the same way that books were spread, by keeping this word of mouth of what we've been able to pick up together as fact. And is a key thing that's going to be to our survival as humanity. So,
yes, well said, Ro.
Man, thank you guys. A great episode.
Till next time, y'all.
Peace.
Later.